imagine this for a second. It's pretty chilling. You come back home after maybe years living abroad, or you're just checking on your parents, right?
Hmm.
And you walk into the family home, the place with all the memories, your sense of security,
Yeah.
and then you find out it's not yours anymore. It's being sold right out from under you. You didn't know, you didn't consent.
Or, and this is maybe even worse, you were somehow tricked into signing it away yourself.
Exactly. Believing you were, I don't know, protecting yourself from some fake accusation, only to realize, way too late, that you've walked straight into a really sophisticated trap.
It's a terrifying thought, isn't it? And, sadly, for way too many people and families in Taiwan, this isn't just hypothetical. It's a stark, painful reality.
So today we're doing a deep dive into something known as the Taiwanese Groundmaster scam.
Right. And this isn't your typical simple fraud. We're talking about a highly organized, deeply embedded criminal network.
Specifically targeting real estate.
Precisely. Designed to target and exploit property assets.
And when we say organized, we really mean it. We're going to unpack how they do it, methods involving meticulously forged documents, really precise impersonation.
And maybe the most shocking part, the actual complicity of professionals you'd normally trust.
People like lawyers, notaries, even, public officials.
Yeah, it's quite startling.
So this deep dive is basically your shortcut, your guide to understanding how these fraudsters work, who they target, and crucially, how you can protect yourself and your family from being next.
We'll look at some specific, pretty harrowing, real cases and, the systemic weaknesses they really expose.
Okay, let's start with the basics. What exactly is a ground master? What does that term mean?
It's quite descriptive, actually. So a ground master fraud is this specific type of scam that really zeroes in on real estate.
Okay.
These groups, they use a sophisticated blend of forged documents and impersonation.
To do what exactly?
To illegally get ownership of property or maybe mortgage those properties for their own illicit profit. It's literally about stealing the ground under your feet.
Wow. Often without you even knowing until it's way too late, I imagine.
Exactly. That's often the case.
And their playbook, their methods. It sounds pretty comprehensive.
Oh, it is. When you look at their key tactics, it's not just one simple trick. They forge everything. Wills, so they can inherit property.
Right.
Marriage certificates, even official ID documents. They're meticulous.
But it's the collusion part that's really staggering. They don't just operate alone, do they?
No, that's a critical piece. They actively collude with people in positions of public trust. Officials in land offices, lawyers, court clerks, police officers, even local ward chiefs.
Ward chiefs, so really local level too.
Yes, it's this infiltration that gives them a veneer of legitimacy, makes the whole thing harder to spot.
Which brings us to who they target. You mentioned they're strategic about it.
Very strategic. While the methods are complex, the vulnerabilities they exploit are often quite, human. They prey on elderly people living alone.
Makes sense.
People who live abroad long-term maybe don't have immediate oversight of their property back home, or individuals with conditions like dementia.
Okay, those seem like maybe more obvious targets. But you said it's broader.
It is. They also lure victims with these promises of incredibly high return investments that convince people to mortgage their homes, framing it as a path to quick wealth.
Ah, the classic too good to be true investment pitch tied to your property.
Exactly. And it gets even more insidious. They use impersonation tactics, too.
Like pretending to be officials?
Yes, pretending to be prosecutors or maybe someone from a household registration office. They'll spin this terrifying story.
Like what?
That the victim is somehow involved in a serious crime, like kidnapping or money laundering, and then they say the victim's assets need supervision to protect them.
God, the pressure must be immense. Just pure fear.
Absolutely. They weaponize that fear. Victims panic. They might hand over cash first, or ATM cards, gold.
But then it escalates to the property.
That's the groundmaster part. When the cash isn't enough, or they want bigger stakes, they coerce the victim into mortgaging their home.
And I bet they don't get a fair valuation.
Not even close. They drastically devalue the property, charge absolutely exorbitant interest and fees. They basically just drain all the equity.
Leaving the victim with crushing debt and no home.
Precisely. Nothing but overwhelming debt.
So it's this mix of financial pressure, exploiting trust and authority. It's deeply psychological.
It really is.
And you mentioned it's not just single seniors or overseas residents. Who else needs to be aware?
That's a really important point. While those groups are definitely vulnerable, we've seen these scams hit others too. Tech professionals, investors.
Yeah.
Frankly, any property owner.
So even people you'd think are financially savvy.
Yes. The vulnerability might be immediate financial pressure, maybe just a lack of awareness about this specific type of fraud, or tragically that deep trust in authority figures which these scammers are experts at exploiting.
Which leads us straight back to that shocking network of perpetrators. It's not just the masterminds, is it?
No, not at all. Beyond the core fraudsters, the sheer number of people involved is staggering. You've got lawyers, court clerks, police officers, ward chiefs, notaries,
Loan officers, financiers.
real estate investors, property managers, appraisers. It's like a whole corrupt ecosystem.
How do they even manage that level of complicity? Is it just money?
Money is definitely part of it, the promise of quick, big profits. But it's often more nuanced. It could be leverage, exploiting existing relationships, maybe even playing on a culture where, getting things done sometimes involves bending the rules.
Blurring the line between a favor and outright crime.
Exactly. And it's because this wide net of seemingly legitimate professionals is involved that the fraud is so hard to detect. They build this facade of legality,
Making it almost impossible for the victim to realize what's happening until it's way too late.
That's what really sets the groundmaster apart from, say, a simple street con. It's the system being weaponized.
Okay, we've got the playbook. Forged documents, impersonation, this web of complicity. Let's look at how this actually plays out. Tell us about the Tianmu property scandal. That one made huge waves, right? Even led to national compensation.
It did. A truly egregious case. The setup is heartbreaking. An elderly woman passes away. Her son, who lives in the U.S., comes back briefly for the funeral, then leaves, thinking everything's fine.
And that's the opening they needed.
That's when the Kai Shang-yu criminal group targeted her valuable Tianmu property worth millions of NTD.
So how do they actually do it in this case?
Textbook groundmaster tactics. They colluded with the local ward chief who gave them inside info.
Unbelievable.
A lawyer named Kai Hongsheng, police, and a clerk named Wei. Together, they forged a notarized will.
A notarized will.
Yes. And with that fake document, they illegally transferred the title, mortgaged the property, and even tried setting up a trust to lock it down on paper.
But how did that get past the land administration office? Isn't that their job to check?
Well, this is where a huge systemic flaw was exposed. The office only did what they called a formal review. Meaning they failed to properly verify the deceased homeowner's identity or even her handwriting. They basically took the notarized forgery at face value.
So was it just negligence? Or were they relying too much on the notary, the lawyer? It feels like they're exploiting the trust within the system itself.
That's a very good way to put it. They exploit the assumption of good faith between different parts of the process.
And the fallout was massive, you said. National compensation.
Yes. The Taipei city government had to pay the victim, the son, 16.12 million NTD plus interest. National compensation, meaning effectively taxpayers footed the bill for that failure.
Wow. And what about the perpetrators? Did they face serious consequences?
They did. The sentences really show how seriously the courts took the abuse of professional trust. The lawyer, Kai Hongsheng, got 25 years for corruption.
25 years.
A huge sentence reflecting his breach of duty. Kai Shang-yu, the ringleader, got 14 years. His aunt, Lu Meikin, who faked a marriage certificate with the deceased woman, got 1 year and 10 months.
So real jail time. It underscores the severity, especially for the professionals involved.
Absolutely. These aren't minor slaps on the wrist.
Okay, let's switch to another tactic. You mentioned the fake prosecutor or fake police scams demanding asset supervision. How does that work?
This is a common approach, unfortunately. Fraudsters call, pretending to be from the household registration office or maybe the prosecutor's office.
Okay.
They tell the victim they're implicated in some serious crime, kidnapping, money laundering, something terrifying.
Designed to create instant panic.
Exactly. Bypass critical thinking. Then they claim the victim's assets need supervision to keep them safe from confiscation.
And people fall for this.
Under that kind of pressure, yes, they get scared, they trust the authority figure on the phone. Initially, they might hand over cash, ATM cards, gold.
But then it escalates.
It often does. When the cash isn't enough or the fraudsters see an opportunity, that's when they push the victim to mortgage their property.
Do you have examples of this?
Sadly, yes. There was a 60-year-old in New Taipei who lost over 10 million NTD. That included mortgaging their property, all after getting calls from a fake Zhuing District Household Registration Office and fake prosecutors.
10 million. That's devastating.
And it gets even more audacious. Another woman was convinced to mortgage 2 properties.
2?
An apartment in Taipei worth maybe 18 million NTC and a house in Hualien worth around 17 million NTD, so 35 million total value.
Okay, so what happened?
The fraudsters, working with complicit parties, valued them at just 11 million NTD total.
What? Less than a third of the value.
Exactly. Then, after they skimmed off huge fees and interest, she only received 8.8 million NTD.
Oh my God.
And she was left facing monthly interest payments of 275,000 NTD on a loan she was effectively conned into taking.
That's just criminal. And the collusion seems obvious there with appraisers and loan officers, those fees you mentioned.
Right. Charging 80,000 NTD for a notary fee that's usually, what, 20, 30,000? That screams complicity.
He shows how deep the rot can go.
And these scams are getting more sophisticated, merging different tactics. Think about romance scams.
How do they fit in?
We've seen cases where love scams merge with property mortgages. There was a tech worker in Nehu, lured into a romance scam, invested over 10 million NTD thinking it was a real relationship, a shared future.
Heartbreaking.
Then, when his money ran out, the fraudsters, having built that emotional trust, convinced him to mortgage his property twice.
No.
He lost another 11 million NTD that way.
And this wasn't just him.
No, that particular scheme hit at least 4 other property owners. Total losses over 60 million NTD. And investigators think there could be over 100 more victims just from that one group.
Wow. It really shows how they adapt, integrating emotional manipulation with financial fraud.
It's a constantly evolving threat.
There was another strange one you mentioned, the Yilan traditional Chinese medicine clinic case.
Mm-hmm.
What was the twist there?
Yeah, that one was different. Here, the fraudsters posed as property owners, realtors, property managers.
Okay.
They specifically targeted people looking to sell their property. After they illegally transferred the ownership using their usual methods,
Right.
they then fabricated tenancy disputes. They even damaged the property themselves.
Why would they do that?
To try and force the original owner out, create legal headaches, physical distress, make it seem like the property was troubled, justifying their fraudulent claim.
That's incredibly bold.
Yeah.
And was this widespread?
It affected over 10 victims across multiple cities: Yilan, New Taipei, Hsinchu, Taiwan. Profits estimated over 100 million NTD.
Good grief. The scale is just immense.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Kaohsiung, too, shifting focus to land deeds.
Yes, down in Kaohsiung, police noticed a shift. Scammers weren't just going for cash from mortgages, they were directly targeting the land deeds themselves.
Oh.
Convincing victims to mortgage their land for fake investments. Police recovered deeds, including one for a luxury home worth over 20 million NTD.
So they're adaptable, creative, and utterly ruthless.
That sums it up pretty well.
So let's zoom out. What does all this mean for the bigger picture? These aren't just isolated crimes, are they?
Not at all. They point to some really significant systemic challenges and have broad societal impacts. That formal review loophole at the land office that led to national compensation.
Yeah.
That's not just one mistake. It exposes an inherent weakness, a vulnerability that these criminals were clearly ready and willing to exploit. It really makes you think, doesn't it? What other cracks are there in our everyday systems?
Absolutely. And the fact that public officials, lawyers, clerks, police, even ward chiefs are involved, that's incredibly damaging to public trust, isn't it?
Deeply damaging. When the very people meant to uphold the law and protect citizens are part of the scam, it just shatters public confidence in government and the justice system. It's a profound betrayal.
On a grand scale.
Yeah. Now, the legal consequences are severe, which is something. We talked about the sentences: fraud, money laundering, corruption charges, sentences from a couple of years up to that shocking 25 years.
And the stripping of public rights, too?
Exactly, Chengdu Gunquan, for decades. That underscores the gravity, especially for those abusing positions of trust.
But the ripples go far beyond the courtroom, right? The societal impact.
Oh, immense. You have devastating financial losses for individuals, life savings gone, inherited wealth wiped out, futures destroyed.
And the constant fear, the anxiety.
Exactly. The constant evolution of these scams keeps everyone on edge. Is this call real? Is this email legitimate? The sheer organization of these groups, crossing professions, makes them hard to fight.
It just breeds distrust, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Especially with anything sounding too good to be true or any unexpected call from an official.
It really hammers home that old saying, doesn't it? There's no such thing as a free lunch.
So given all this, how do we protect ourselves? How do we build a shield against this kind of sophisticated fraud?
Well, prevention and vigilance are key, both systemically and individually. On the systemic side, the Land Bureau has taken steps.
Like,
They brought in new regulations after those cases. Now they require verification with heirs, expert meetings, trying to close those loopholes that allowed the forgeries through.
that's good, a necessary step. But system changes take time. What about individuals? What's our first line of defense? Public awareness.
Absolutely critical. Widespread education, especially for the elderly and other vulnerable groups, is non-negotiable. People need to know what these scams look like, recognize the red flags.
Okay, and when it comes to actual property deals, what's the golden rule?
Use reputable, trusted professionals, notaries, lawyers or who come highly recommended. And critically,
Yes.
personally participate in all important document signings. Don't delegate it. Don't assume someone else handled it. Be there. See it yourself.
Good advice. And be wary of those investment schemes.
Absolutely. Never, ever trust high-profit, no-risk deals, especially if they involve your property. If it sounds too good to be true.
It almost certainly is a trap.
Right.
And the other crucial thing, verify, verify, verify. Cannot stress this enough.
Always authenticate who's calling or messaging you. Use official channels. In Taiwan, call the 165 anti-fraud hotline. Don't trust the number they give you. Find the official one yourself.
And never hand over important documents.
Never. Not your ID, land deeds, bank books, ATM cards, not to anyone unverified. These are your keys to the kingdom, basically. Protect them fiercely.
Okay, and if you do suspect something, or worse, you realize you've been scammed.
Report it immediately. Don't wait. Don't be embarrassed. Call the police right away. Time is critical.
And finally, looking out for each other. Family vigilance.
Yes. This is something we can all do. Check in on elderly relatives, friends living abroad. They are prime targets, as we've seen. Just a regular call, a visit, asking if anything unusual has happened. It can make a huge difference.
So wrapping up, these Taiwanese groundmaster cases are, well, a really stark and urgent wake-up call, aren't they?
They really are. They show the shocking complexity, the scale of modern fraud, and how it just ruthlessly preys on trust and exploits any weakness in the system.
And beyond the terrible financial losses for the individuals, it really poses a bigger question, doesn't it? How does a society rebuild trust when the very institutions, the professionals meant to protect us, are caught up in these schemes?
That's the core issue. Rebuilding that fundamental trust is incredibly difficult.
And maybe a final thought for everyone listening. What hidden vulnerabilities might you still be unaware of in your own life, or maybe in the systems you rely on every day? It's definitely something worth thinking about, isn't it?